Ready, girl? Ready? Ready? Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode, babies. If you're new to the channel, we hope that you stick around. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome. Thanks for sticking around.
And if you're someone who watches our videos but you haven't subscribed yet, guys,
we kind of see you. We kind of see the stats and we see the numbers, and it's quite a shaming. Please hit the subscribe button and join the family. We'd love to have you stick around.
So we're back with another episode of Shnaks Survival Guide, where we plug you to people, places, and experiences. Guys, the topic that we picked today is actually quite exciting. Ethel and I were toying with the idea of doing top 5 series or something film related, and then we hit top 5 TV friendships.
Going all the way, I'm going to go all the way tonight. I'm going all the way, he's going to go all the way tonight.
You are a gifted surgeon with an extraordinary mind. Don't let what he wants eclipse what you need.
When you think about your favorite show, you always know that there are those friendships that keep you going back to the show.
Yeah.
Whether it's like a duo or trio, just a group of people who hold that thing together.
Yeah.
I think we've also really enjoyed watching how friendships have evolved over the years. I feel like with new TV and new film,
the way friendships are portrayed,
exactly how it has grown from friends ganging up against each other to more meaningful, nuanced, very complex kind of friendships. I think it's something that we enjoy talking about even as friends, in our friendship. So it's nice to watch those things and just be like, mind.
I think also it's so beautiful that shows, especially ones that center friendship, and are now exploring having multiple main characters. Before you would have a friendship group, but there's one main character and everyone else is not as the focus is on that one person, and everyone is literally a character in that person's life. Exactly. I like that now there's enough meat to everyone. And even when you watch shows, Ethel can be I'm into this person in the friendship. I can be I'm into this person.
Differing opinions. As always for this series, the list that we're going to share is in our opinion. That's it. So please feel free to add on to the list, challenge us, tell us why you think the friendships we've mentioned shouldn't be on the list, or they should. We'd love to hear from you guys. So please drop a comment.
Okay, guys, I think this should be everyone's top TV friendship. But number 1 on our list is Meredith Grey and Christina Yang from Grey's Anatomy. And I think for both of us, the most memorable moment in their friendship is when Christina is leaving. She's going to Switzerland or whatever. Guys, first of all, the fact that they were being separated.
Bro.
And she gets into her car and she runs back to remind Meredith something. And she reminds Meredith that he's not the son, you are.
He's very dreamy, but he is not the son. You are.
Period. If our friendship had a description box, I could tell every woman I meet that.
Life mantra. I was telling Shari how I feel like that friendship sort of has fed into our own friendship, because there's times when Shari has come and told me, Gui, he is not the son, you are. I think it's important to have friends who remind you of where your focus
and
should
I think
be.
It's so interesting that we started watching Grey's Anatomy from season 1, so we were quite young, we were teenagers watching Grey's Anatomy. So it's interesting how we picked up on that. We were so influenced by them that I think that's a thing we started affirming to each other at a young
Very
age.
young.
And it probably didn't matter as much then as it did now, but it's so cool how I don't know how that thing stuck in our brains.
Bro.
Watching these adult women who are 30 something and we're 15. But that's the power of TV.
Way the dynamic between them was very empowering. So they existed, of course, in the medical field and they were doctors, but you could see that the way they supported each other's independence us away from societal expectations
Of
of
a
like
woman, yeah.
motherhood and career and like respectability politics. There were so many ways they interacted with like their superiors, their peers, that was just like a very
And each other.
yeah, I got you, and you like, I believe in what you're doing, so I back you up and you back yourself up. I feel like, and that gave them that sort of confidence, and I feel like that's where they reached like very big points in their careers, and you could see that friendship had sustained them to that point.
I think they were definitely they were definitely each other's safe space. Like Christina had a lot of like issues with just dealing with the fact that like I don't want kids or I don't dream of being married and stuff like that. And like that was their friendship was a space where they could be those versions of themselves, and it wasn't an issue, which is amazing. Number 2 on our list, guys, we went back and forth because I was like, I don't know if I want that on the
Was
list.
like, no, and I'm like, is it a good example? Is it a bad example? But we had to have it on the list. Our number 2 friendship on the list is Molly and Issa from Insecure.
Shout out to Issa Rae before we say anything else, because that's probably one of the greatest shows that has come out
The
for our
goat.
generation.
The goat.
Let's go. So actually, before we get into why we clashed on that one, what's your most memorable, a good moment in their friendship?
Oh, like
I think for me, it's the beginning of, what's the last season? Watch season 4.
Yeah,
and there's an episode where they've started doing this self-care Sunday thing together, and Molly shows up at Issa's house, and they roll a J, and they do their yoga and whatnot, and they smoke, and they're like, I that was very cute, because I think a lot of their friendship for me has often been very turbulent. So when they kind of just had a moment where like they were both in whichever place they were in life, but they were able to come together to do that, I was like, that's kind of cute.
I feel like this season 4 rivalry is clouding my mind. So I'm like, a memorable moment or like a nice intimate moment.
I will say though that like I feel like for me my problem with that friendship is okay, I respect it in terms of like they've done a beautiful job at showing like adult women just going into different parts of their lives, having different careers, having different even income levels and all of that, and how that affects relationship. But for me, like in season 4, there's things Molly was doing, and I was like, I'm even sensing a bit of malice now.
Bro.
And you guys, let's not deny, you can be friends with someone and love them, but there's still those things can still happen,
and they're
Jealousy,
normal,
malice,
but it's your actions.
So I think I'm turned off by
Exactly.
Molly, because I don't know why I feel like I'm sensing some malice there, and also just like I'm just like, sometimes I'm like, do you guys even like each other?
Yeah,
Why
and
are
do you
even
want each other
friends
to
anymore?
succeed?
Like it's okay to let a thing go, but
In season 4, in the last episode, I think, when the climax of the fight, one of the things that Issa mentioned, I think, to Molly was that like you're very self-centered, or like do you even want to see me succeed? Exactly. And I was like I feel like that's a valid question at that point, because Issa was trying to put together like this festival thing, and she's trying to like get people's contacts and stuff, and how can your friend tell you no? Like N-O.
Basically, for anyone who hasn't watched the season, or the guys, by the way, I think we should say spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
Basically, Issa needed a contact from Molly's boyfriend, and Molly said, no, I'm not going to ask him for that contact, and like don't get in contact with him. And then Issa goes behind her back and asks for the contact. Let me tell you, I back Issa 100%. Is Molly's boyfriend her dog? How can you how can you tell someone don't ask him for a contact, don't involve him? What? To call someone and say I need this person's contact? Don't bore me.
And to take a more feeling, guys, you know that thing of don't put your feelings in things that are like business involved.
Like Ethel fought for this to be on the list, and I agree, because it really does show the complexities of friendship.
Yeah.
I love that it's showing black women, and to be honest, they have some great moments. I mean, those guys are funny. I love their banter when they are on good terms and all of that.
True.
Alrighty, guys. I'm even like
This is Shari. I think Shari wants a whole video. You know what Shari asked me, guys, when I put together this list? Shari was like, can we just have a whole video for this show?
Like, okay, guys, number 3, and I would have never guessed in my wildest dreams that I would love this show this much.
Same.
But it's the friendships for me, the bold type.
Club on my bad bitches.
For the past 4 years, the three of us have toiled away together in the assistant trenches.
Kate, Jane, and Sutton. That trio, if I could transform into their world and be part of their squad, guys, it's the most... And you know what? I think it's because I am seeing friendship enacted in the ways that I believe in it. Like, I think for me, the most memorable moment was... So Jane, who's technically the main character of the show, gets a double mastectomy, because she has the BRCA gene, which means she's susceptible to getting breast cancer, which her mom died from. But fast forward, she gets the surgery. Of course, her two besties are there, troopers, do everything with her, help her recover. But she's having just now, like, psychologically, it's hard dealing with having new breasts. And there's a moment where she finally gets to take off her bandage, and they're all there. The two of them are there at her house to see it. And basically, when they're finally leaving, she asks them to, she's like, wait guys, I need you to do something. And basically she wants them to be the first people to touch her boobs, her new boobs. Yeah. So literally one friend puts one arm here and one friend puts the other arm there, right? And they're kind of like, oh, these feel good or whatever. And then it just ends up with them in a circle holding each other's boobs, because they're like, let's just all do it. And for me, that's just like, guys, that friendship, like, ride or dies, guys, they'll do anything for each other. They're very intentional about their friendship, and they're very clear that no matter what comes and goes in life, they prioritize their friendships. Men, romance, whatever it is. And for me, that's like, when it comes to friendship, I'm very loyal. I'm very ride or die. I'm very like, I prioritize friendship over pretty much everything in my life. I'm like, everything else can wait and sort itself out. So I think that's what I appreciate about them. It's also very relatable because they are 3 young creatives living in New York, trying to make it, working at a magazine. And I guess for me, I always think about like, me and Ethel as young creatives, or even just being a young creative, seeing other women on TV kind of maneuvering, adulting and all of that, and how they do it together. Everything, guys, first of all, everyone knows that they come as a packaged deal. And I love that so much. You're taking one, you get all of them. I think for a lot of people, sometimes, like, people might think that can be unhealthy, or that's too much, or there are no boundaries. But guys, you can have that kind of friendship and still respect each other and have healthy friendships. And I think I really love that. I could talk about this show for 2 hours literally. So I'm just gonna stop. Ethel might have wanted to say something about the Bold Type, but I had so much to
First
say.
of all, guys, the only thing I have to say about the Bold Type is I watched it like a while back, like maybe like 2 years ago, I think. And you know, when I watch something and I'm like, oh, I think Shai would like this, let me recommend this show to her. Never in my wildest dreams did I think of recommending it to Shari. So it's also interesting to understand that I think as we go older, I'm learning to appreciate that we will value certain things not because of like style of show, but because of the content. Yeah. And I love that. I think it's definitely a show we can binge together. Like we would binge together.
I'm so inspired by this show. I'm like, it's even inspired me to want to write something.
Aww.
So that's really cool.
Next on the list. You know I love a good musical. You know I like theatrics. I like lights, camera, action, everything. I like loud and bold and everything. And pause.
The category is Legendary Runway. Who will prove themselves to be mother of all mothers on the Parisian runway?
I fell in love with pause. Like, and you know when you just start a show and it just does everything to me?
for you.
When I'm asking for new shows, I'm like, guys, do you know any shows like pause? Because I want a show like that. And I think the friendship that I wanted to highlight in that particular show was between Electra, Evangelista, and Angel.
Evangelista.
And like, first of all, the dynamic in their houses, I really liked that. The way they were like family. So the way they had like a leader, a house leader, but then everyone else,
and a mother.
Exactly. But then everyone else in the house had their own personality. So it's not that like the leader of course had those attributes, but then there was space for everyone to shine in their own abilities within that house. Then the thing that stood out to me was when the house, I think when it's the beginning of the series, we're introduced to one house, then they break up at some point. So I think Evangelista starts her own house, and her mom used to be a lecturer. Oh, that was the mother of the house she was a part of. So when Evangelista moves, and then they go and battle, and then there's, I think, at a point where they like reconcile, or like they just still have that intimate bond.
I know when you're like, these are people who, and you guys, I think it has a lot to do with what's happening socio-politically at that time. Being trans, being part of the
your community,
QI community, the stigmas and stereotypes of what was happening with the HIV and AIDS pandemic at that time. So you really truly see human beings who have to have each other's back. Like guys, you can get lost in the world and in this world of just everything that's going on, and you can fight. But you know, at the end of the day, you have to hold each other down, because it's you against the world.
The thing that stood out in this show was the fact that it was black women and black women of all sexualities and all kinds of women were providing that warmth and that safety that Shai was saying. Like, you knew these are people who
But
their
also with,
families
like, a
had kicked them.
pizzazz, guys.
Yeah, exactly. But these are people who like their families had kicked them out of like the of their homes. Like these are people who they found warmth and they found home in other in their friendships. And I'm like, that's that. And the way they did that show, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's ending.
You love this show so much.
It's so beautiful.
She loves this show.
It's so beautiful. It's really beautiful.
Last on our list, and the new season just came out.
If you aren't in that new season, please.
If you haven't watched it, you dirty
Please.
pig. And if you don't know what I'm saying, when I mean you dirty pig, it means you don't know this show. Because this Eric and Otis from Sex Education. Guys, Eric and Otis, first of all, of course, we all know Eric is our fave. In fact, I wish I could have put Eric alone. Eric and his relationship with himself, I wish I could have just put it.
Oh, like the parts when he's singing alone in his room, when he's dancing,
everything.
when
he's light. He's light
energy.
and life. But the reason that I thought it was important to have Eric and Otis on is, first of all, that show is amazing. Everything it's doing to break norms is amazing. My favorite moment right now between Eric and Otis has to be one from this season. Again, spoiler if you haven't watched. So this season, Eric is dating Adam. I'm not a fan of that relationship, but Eric is with Adam and Otis is with Ruby, right? And they go on a double date. And for me, that was just like growth. Reason being, like, why I loved that scene was, if you've watched season 1 and 2, they're best friends. They are not the like popular kids at school, therefore they've kind of gone through everything together, like from being bullied to just being awkward and all of that. But you kind of start to see in different ways how they're growing out of that. Like as you get older, they're going into who they are. Otis with whatever he's doing, Eric with whatever he's doing, and that's how to create tension, I think, in season 2. Like they were fighting a lot more, because I guess of feelings of being neglected by each other. And for me, them going on the double date was just a beautiful moment to see them finally figure out how to bridge their lives. Like, it's okay that we're no longer like this.
We're growing.
Like, we're kind of now, we're soaring individually.
And it's fine.
But doesn't mean we can't fly together. And I love that.
So beautiful.
It is.
Like that scene at the paintball, was it at the bowling alley? When like there were shots of all of them like shooting. And they're all laughing.
Agreed.
It was amazing.
Agreed. And I think I just love that it's a friendship between two men. Like I like to see that, guys. Even just when you listen to Otis and Eric's conversations when they are on their bikes going to school, when they're chilling, just to see that openness and vulnerability and softness and honesty between two guys is amazing. I randomly thought about, and I'm like, honorary mention to Ola. Is her name Ola? And Adam. Their friendship is now starting to be spotlighted more. But if you remember in season 2, they did that thing where she took him to the place where he can like hit
throw
things.
Stuff.
And we're now catching small glimpses of them. And I'm like, that's actually a beautiful friendship. I think that's the end of our list. And I just realized that we didn't necessarily give you guys like a quick synopsis about each show. But if you haven't watched them, definitely like check them out.
So guys, thank you so much for sticking around. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you haven't checked out any of the shows we mentioned, we hope you found a new show to binge this weekend.
Man, all the shows we've mentioned are binge worthy.
Bro,
I promise you that.
You're gonna enjoy. I'm so jealous actually. But please don't forget to like this video and subscribe. And see you around, guys.
And let us know what your top TV friendships are.